Yo, I made 15K this week just scaling brands. No BS, no 9 to 5, just a marketing agency and hard work. You want to copy the same system I used to make that 15K in the span of 7 days? Cool. Honestly, just copy me and watch the video. I'm going to show you how I went from working 2 jobs to making 15K in a single week with clothing brands. So yeah, I guess you can copy me. I'm going to hop over to my desktop and we're going to break this all down.
What's up guys, so we made it over to the desktop and this is where I'm going to be breaking down exactly how to start and how I made 15K a week with brand scaling or with SMMA or digital marketing. Whatever you guys want to call it, it all is the same shit at the end of the day.
Yeah, this is my first business model. I've been doing this for about 2 years now. Now I have a full-fledged agency. In this, I'm really just going to be talking about like the foundation and the starting and how to start up your own, I guess, agency, or if you want to be a freelancer. But yeah, this is my first business model that I personally started, and it honestly worked for me. It worked because I obviously put in the work when I worked extremely hard. But if you guys don't know anything about my path, I was working 2 jobs, taking the bus every single day from work and back from work while working on my business. And it was honestly crazy. I wanted to get out of those jobs so bad. And eventually, my business started, being my main stream of income, and it started bringing me the revenue that I actually want to see and the money that I actually want to see, and honestly just changed the overall trajectory of my life.
Yeah, in this video, I'm just going to be breaking down exactly how I do what I do and how you can get started as well. So we'll just jump right into it. How I made 15K this week with
freelance brand scaling. It actually is pretty easy. And if you haven't been living under a rock, you probably have heard about freelance brand scaling being one of the best business models to go into 2026. In this video, I'm literally pulling back the curtain to show you exactly how I make 10K plus every single week with this business model at 19 years old. The reason it says that I'm 20 right now, I just turned 20. But when I started this, I was around 18, did it for a year, 19. When I was 19, I was really seeing the best just results with my business model. But yeah, I was making around, I'd say 30K a month when I was 19. Now I'm upwards of 40 to 50K a month, and we're still scaling.
But yeah, this is exactly how I'm making 10K plus a week. Just a little bit of proof for you guys. So this is one of my payment processors. I actually took this screenshot yesterday. I was supposed to finish this video yesterday, but it was dark in my room. I don't have like crazy lights.
So I just wanted to wait to get some more lighting in the room.
But yeah, this is a screenshot that I took yesterday off of my payment processors. As you can see, just under $15,000 last week, or in the past week. And yeah, so that's just, like I said, my proof on how I'm doing that and how I'm able to keep my agency afloat. If you guys don't know, I have about 11, 12 employees with my agency, and we still are expanding. So the best part about this is I'm breaking down the entire process step by step, so it's stupid easy for you to understand and easy for you to replicate my results. Let's just dive right into it. So first thing is, why is this the best business model to start? In my opinion, this is the best business model to start. One of the main reasons is it does have high profit margins.
The first thing. So usually when you are first starting, you are a freelancer. Basically, all that means is you're doing the services by yourself. You don't have a team. As of now, I have a full stack agency, meaning I have people on my team that take care of certain departments, so I can delegate my time more to other things that I don't want to do or I don't have as much experience in doing, and to make my clients have a better return, and just to make my agency more, I guess, in demand and have more services under the belt or any type of marketing ran for their business.
But yeah, so first thing is high profit margins, especially when you're starting. Like I said, you can literally charge people $1,000 up front, and since you're doing it by yourself, damn near all that profit is yours, besides paying for like subscriptions, whether that be Canva, Shopify, just little subscriptions, and usually those are tiny, like $40, $50 a month. And which is why I like it. There is obviously a plethora amount of business models out there, and they all do work. But I do think that this is one of the best business models to get into when you're starting, for, like I said, one of the first reasons, it being such high profit margins. Now, it is an in-demand service. There is a plethora amount of businesses that needs ads
or any type of marketing ran for their business. You don't have to just market for clothing brands. That's what this video is going to be about, because I specialize in clothing brands. I've been working with clothing brands for about going on 2.5 years. But yeah, it is in demand. I know a lot of people say it is saturated.
It goes into one of the things right here.
It is not saturated. That is just a coping mechanism. You're literally coping by saying that. You literally just need to work harder, study your competition, how you can fix the gaps in the market, be a solution to a problem. That's all it is. It's pretty easy to hit a 10K month as well. I hit my first 10K month about like 2.5 months into the business model, and I was actually pretty surprised how fast I did it.
Gives you an excuse to buy your dream car. This is a funny one because I bought my first dream car off of this business model. I bought my AMG right before I turned 20. 4 months before I turned 20, so like 19. But yeah, and my dad was going to kick me out when I bought it, but
he didn't kick me out because I moved out, so win-win.
You can leverage AI to save time and scale faster. By AI, I mean ChatGPT. There probably is some other AI software services that you can use, but you're really using ChatGPT for your foundation, name, logo, templates, things like that. You can work from anywhere. It's 100% remote, so I do everything remotely. I stay home most of the time, so I am just at my desk. Most of the time I don't really travel. But if I was to travel, all I would need is a MacBook and some Wi-Fi, and I'll be able to complete my work just as if I were at home. Super scalable with massive long-term potential. Guys, marketing agencies are super, super scalable. You can scale pretty quickly, especially if you know how to, if you know how to give unresistible offers and know how to actually hone in on your client service delivery, then you're honestly, it's a green light from there. But next thing we'll hop into is, so now that you know that freelance brand scaling is a gold mine, the question is, how do you actually get started? And this is a question that I get asked all the time in my DMs, on TikTok, just everywhere. How do you get started? How did you start? What did you do to start? And in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how I started and what I did to get my feet off the ground and started making, like I said, 10K months about 2.5 months into the business model. So the first thing you want to do is build your brand scaling agency. Now you have to set up a base for your brand scaling agency. The base and the foundation is the most important part, because if the part isn't solid, everything else falls apart. Now, here's some good news. It actually is pretty simple. You don't need to spend weeks doing this or thousands hiring designers. Here's a quick sequence to follow. And the first thing is using ChatGPT, like I explained earlier in this video. AI is crazy these days, so you can literally build so much shit with ChatGPT. They have a new agent mode where it's like worker. I'm pretty sure it's like a worker. I've used it a couple times, but I'm not like too in-verse with ChatGPT. But ChatGPT really can build you anything. Pick a name, pick a logo with it using ChatGPT, make outreach templates, make scripts, make VSLs, whatever you need to do. ChatGPT is going to be your right-hand man. Like I said, AI is really taking over.
Actually, a sneak peek, I am going to be starting an AI agency and be actually breaking down how I'm starting that as well and how I'm going to grow that to 6 figures. That's one of my next big things that I'm doing.
Keeping it kind of on the back burner, but just a little insight for you guys. The next thing that you are going to need to do is optimize your social media. Now, there's 2 ways you can go about this. How I'm going to first explain how I went about it. So I had a personal Instagram account. The personal Instagram account was just like my Instagram account that like friends, family, just people in my hometown would follow. It was very, very general, very just a basic, personal profile, like literally just a profile picture of like me or my buddies, and then some, random posts, some random highlights. But once I started getting actually into the business model, that's when I optimized my social media. Now, the other option to this is having a backup personal account. So basically what that is like having an actual personal account, instead of rebranding your personal account to be more business oriented. And that's what I did. Like I said, you can go either route, but I would really recommend having some type of business personal account just so you can build a personal brand. And that is another way on how you're going to actually scale your agency and sign more clients. People like authority. If you can show them that, you've done good work and you have, crazy testimonials and crazy brands that you work with, that is authority. You're putting yourself as the leverage point for clients to see once they go to your Instagram account. So as you can see here, this is my Instagram page. Some key optimizations. I have the blue badge. Now this isn't mandatory. It literally only costs like $15 a month or something. I don't remember exactly, but it just shows that, it just makes it look more professional. Second, as I just say I scale something basic with all my brands that I work with plus 40 and apply to work with me with a type form in my bio for clients to actually reach out to me if I'm not answering DMs or they can't DM me. I always recommend that as well, is have some type of type form or questionnaire in your bio so that if your clients cannot reach out to you, there's that form that you can just go over and then reach out to them, hit them up later. It just always keeps them, always keeps them interested. And yeah, the next thing that you should have is some pretty clean highlights. So one of these highlights is just lifestyle, so a whole bunch of lifestyle content. Another one of these highlights are results from clients, students, testimonials. Another highlight is just like, my personal life, like just fit pictures, things like that. And then the last one this is the same thing as this one. This one is just a little more older and has way more results. But yeah, those are a couple things when it comes to optimization. It's just making your profile look friendly to your prospects, because that's the first thing they're going to click on when you outreach them is your profile. If your profile looks sloppy or looks ass, then they are not going to even want to work with you. They're like, who the fuck is this kid? He's some random fucking jackass. He doesn't know what he's doing. So have authority when it comes to your profile, and that's just optimizing your social media. Now, the next thing is actually picking your niche. So niche selection. Like I said, I specialize in clothing brands. There is so many different things that you can market for. You can go service based, you can go e-com stores, you can go coaches. Like, there's so much shit that you could do. But clothing brands are exploding right now, and that's what I started with, and that is honestly like 90% of my clientele. Now, I am going to move over to service based. I'm not going to completely stop ecom, but I'm going to have two different sides of my agency, if that makes sense. I'm really trying to automate the ecom/clothing brand side, and then once I can automate that, I'm going to switch over to service based and have a department for that. And that also goes back into the other point on how scalable and how long term this can be. So once you have a established agency, I always recommend people to just solidify your agency in one niche first, and then kind of move on. Once you kind of got that automated and got it on lock, and then move on to another niche or department or whatever it is. So service-based businesses are another gold mine. They're always looking to grow through digital marketing, and you can help them scale and get your piece of the pie. Now, with this business model, if you guys don't know already, you're using your clients' money to generate more money with certain strategies with Ads Manager, and just helping them bring more revenue or leads to their business. And then you take a percentage of that, or just a monthly retainer, whatever it is. But yeah, that's how you get paid from this client. Like I said, niche selection is a very, very big one. You can be a killer in a small niche and be making thousands of, like, literally an insane amount of money just from going inside of a niche that has some type of loophole, or has some type of gap in the market, or a problem that you can fix, figuring out how to do that, and then being, I guess, the kingpin of that niche, bro. You can print. Same thing with Brez, right? When Brez first started, he literally was the king of clothing brands, right? The king of marketing for clothing brands, and look at him now. Do you see what I mean? So even micro niches like that work. Like, there's so many niches, you just have to brainstorm and really think. But there's clothing, service based, e-com, like I said, coach. There's so much shit that you can get into when it comes to niche selection. But like I said, I always recommend picking a niche, staying to it, sticking to it, grinding it out, perfecting it, and then moving on to something else. Once you have, a steady flow of revenue coming in from the business, and when it's pretty much automated where you barely even have to touch it. Now, bonus is building a simple website and recording a 2-minute VSL, or video sales letter. Basically, VSLs are who you are, what your offer is, your social proof, and a simple call to action. Now, the reason I put this in here is because I didn't do this when I first started, and I really wish I did. So that's why I'm saying this for this video, because I don't want you guys to make the same mistakes I did when I first started. When I first started, bro, I was super unorganized. I didn't really have no foundation. I was kind of just winging it. It worked out in the long run, but I really wish I was more organized and, just like I said, more honed down when it comes to foundation of my agency when I first started. So just to show you guys a quick example of a pretty clean converting website mixed with a VSL. This is my website right here for Reds Marketing. We have about us, we have process, we have FAQ, we have the brands that we work with. It's pretty interactive. So this is a very, very good website. I actually paid some dude on Fiverr like $250 for this website. So yeah, you guys can go on Fiverr, find somebody, and get the website done and ready to make for you to go. But this is basically a VSL. As you can see, it's just me explaining what I'm doing, what my services are, who I am, blah, 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 blah. Add some social proof in there, some client results, blah, blah, blah. The VSL shouldn't be that long. It should be around, a minute and a half to 3 minutes long. You don't want to bore your clients. You want to, like I said, it's just a quick who you are, what you offer, your services, a simple call to action, some social proof. And that is going to actually have more leverage on your prospects than you guys think. Like I said, authority and actually social proof is a big key to actually signing clients. I'd say those two are the biggest things, honestly. If you can show a prospect that you genuinely know what you're talking about, and you know what you're doing and how you can help them, and you have a little bit of social proof, it's game over there. Now, obviously, when you're first starting, you're not going to have social proof, but that's why authority really plays a big role. If you can really, like I said, if you can really show what you're doing, how you do it, your process, you know what you're talking about, and you just have the leverage on the prospect, 9 times out of 10, you are going to solve that prospect. Really dive into their pain points and see what they're struggling with and be the solution to their problem. honestly is pretty simple, but these are some tools. These are honestly the most basic tools that you will need when it comes to starting your freelance brand scaling agency. So obviously the first thing is Meta Ads Manager. And that's where you are going to be running the ads for you guys as clients. Now, there is obviously a whole bunch of different platforms that you can run ads on: Snapchat, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, Google. But typically, when you're first starting, you're using Meta Ads Manager to produce these results for your clients, whether that be sales or leads, whatever niche you're going into. But when I first started, what I was doing is I would have like Meta Ads Manager, Snapchat, and TikTok, but they would all be separate plans, and that goes into your offer, and that's something that we'll talk about in a second. But these are just some basic tools. So I would make a Meta Ads account. Now, when it comes to Meta, you do need an aged account. Facebook does not like brand new accounts. I just had 2 brand new accounts get banned. You can ask a friend or family, tell them that it doesn't. It's not going to interact with their personal side of things. You're using Meta on the business side with Meta Ads Manager and Meta Business Suite. I asked my girlfriend for an account and she just gave me hers, and that's been working. But I also did have some old accounts that I just made like freshman year of high school that I just fucking forgot about. So I was using those for a while, but then they got banned, which is pretty stupid. You guys will start to realize that Facebook is very, very picky and they're just sensitive. So I'd really recommend having an aged account. 9 times out of 10, you make a new account, it's going to get fucking sniped right off the bat. The next thing is go high level. And the reason I'm putting go high level in here is because, like I said, when I first started, I had no organization. Now, go high level is just a CRM. That is where you are going to organize all your cold leads, your warm leads, your opportunities, your calls, books, your follow-ups. This is going to be extremely, extremely useful, especially when you're building a structure. Like I said, just for organization. That is honestly the biggest thing, because as you guys know, once you're building an agency, you do need organization, because it will turn to a clusterfuck pretty quickly. With agencies, you're managing 30, 40, 50 people a day. So if you do not have most things organized, especially on top of your leads, your follow-ups, just everything, then you are going to be pretty overwhelmed when it comes to the organization. So I would recommend go high level. I would actually put Notion in here too. Notion is a good one. It basically tracks everything. So I have tasks, all my client stuff. Don't mind this. I need to update my payment. But yeah, I track everything in Notion too. Notion's a good one. I should put that in here. And the next thing is ChatGPT. Like we talked about, this is good for just building foundations, building templates, building sheets, building your logo, building your name, getting ideas. ChatGPT is a good one. Like I said, use it as your right-hand man. It's super accessible. You can download the app on your phone. And it's pretty easy to use. Literally just ask it questions and it's going to answer them for you. Canva is the next one. Bro. My arrows look fucking stupid. But Canva is the next one. Canva, basically that's where you're going to be. Canva is just like a designing platform. You can design flyers on there, and that's another thing that we'll talk about in a second when it comes to upselling your clients or just having additional services so your clients can buy those additional services and then you get paid more. Like I said, Canva, you're making ads on there. You can make logos, you can make posters. And like I said, you can use that to upsell on your clients. Now, the next 2 things are payment processors. And I'm going to be honest, I really hate Stripe. I just put it in here because I know a lot of people use it, and it is free. I would really recommend FanBias. The only problem about FanBias is that it's $500 up front. So if you do not have a lot of capital, it can obviously be a problem. And then it's $100 a month. But the bonus to FanBias is it never holds your money. They give you instant payouts. There's never, some little BS involved. The only reason I don't like Stripe is because I had a lot of money held in Stripe for a very long time. They would constantly hold payouts. They would constantly extend the fucking time window for me to be able to withdraw a payout. Overall, I just don't like Stripe. I put it in here because it is free, and I know it does work for a lot of people, and that is what a lot of people use. I just had bad experiences with it, so I don't necessarily like it, but you guys might have good experiences when you use it. But I really would recommend FanBias, but like I said, it does have some fees when it comes to using that payment processor. Now, the next thing that we are going to dive right into is crafting your offer, and crafting an offer is very key. Now that your foundations is ready, it's time to decide actually what you're selling. Your main goal here should be solving one painful, high-value problem in your niche that deserves to be fixed. Like how I just explained when we were on the niche section, is you can really find a underground niche and then really find a gap or a problem in that niche. And if you can fix that problem or figure out a way how to fix it, bro, you are going to be collecting fucking cash like it is nothing. Keep it simple. The more focused your offer is, the easier it is to sell and the faster you can deliver results. Now, for my agency, we have a whole bunch of different offers. We do ads, creatives, website, email and SMS, content resourcing, the whole 9 yards when it comes to a marketing agency. But usually when you're first starting, you're usually just offering ads, maybe an upsell for your creatives, maybe an upsell for your website, and maybe an upsell for their email and SMS. That's what I was doing. Like I said, I would have different packages. I would have just ads package. I would have ads plus website plus creatives, ads plus website plus email, and all that would be different price points. Now, what to sell? Starter option is exactly what I just said. Paid ads, Facebook or Google ads. Google's going to be more for obviously service based. Now, Facebook and Google ads are typically, like I said, the starter, what most people start with. You can use these for both different niches, but I know Google works extremely well for service. In Facebook, you can generate a lot of leads and get a lot of sales for clothing brands with, either or. But that's the starter, is paid ads. Now, if you want to charge more, like I said, add different incentives, add email plus SMS to your offer, turn existing leads into repeat customers on autopilot. And there's a lot of other things that you can do, and that's what I'm actually going to get into in a second. But here's the truth. Nobody just cares about Facebook ads or email marketing. Your niche doesn't want a service. They want a result, a transformation, a vehicle that takes them from point A, their current struggle, to point B, their desired outcome. Like I said, that's the best way to do it. Is you have to just solve a problem. You have to have the leverage on your prospect or on your potential client. The moment that the leverage roles switch, they think that you just want them for the money and that you can't actually solve the problem. That's 9 times out of 10 you're not going to close a deal like that. Like how it says right here, your niche doesn't actually want a service. They want the results. They want you to fix a problem that they are suffering with, whatever that is. Whatever that problem is, you have to identify that problem and be able to fix it, and then promise you're going to be a cash fucking printer. But yeah, I talk about irresistible offer a lot. Irresistible offer is basically just an offer that your client almost feels dumb to say no to. Your prospect should look at what you're selling and look at your offer, and they should have no questions on, is it going to get me here? Is it going to get me there? Is this going to do what I need it to be done? It needs to be irresistible, something that they feel dumb to say no to. So I call this the components of a blue ocean offer: the promise, the method, the pricing, and the guarantee. First, the promise. This is a specific outcome your offer delivers. So this is like a promise. It's the same thing as like a guarantee. So what are you promising to the client? How many leads are you promising? How many sales are you promising? Like I said, what something that you're promising to your client that is almost like a guarantee. Number 2 is methodology, how you will actually deliver those results. That comes with some type of game plan. I'll show you guys one of my game plans that we use for our agency, and this is basically closing call ad framework. This is what we explain to our clients what we do. Now this is a little bit of funnel hacking, but I'll give you guys a little sneak peek because I don't mind it. So it's basically just a roadmap or a game plan on exactly how you're going to deliver those results for a client. Pricing, monthly retainer or revenue share. Now these are both good ones to do. How I do for my agency is I have a one-time fee plus rev share. When it comes to monthly retainer and rev share, typically you want to pick one. You don't want to have a monthly retainer and rev share. Like I said, typically you want to pick one, or you can just do one uptime fee plus rev share, and that's what I do. But monthly retainer is just going to basically boost your MMR, obviously your monthly recurring revenue, and then rev share is just something that you're taking, you're taking a percentage of the revenue that you generate them at the end of the month. So if you generate them, let's do the math real quick here, Chad. Let's do some fourth grader math. Let's say you generate a client $50,000 in sales, right? Typically, it's going to be 10% of this revenue. 10% of that is $5,000. So this means at the end of the month, you took $5,000 from a client that you helped make $50,000 for. Actually, one of my students just did that. I made a whole YouTube video on that. He actually generated a client like $55,000. So from one client alone, he took $5.5K from that client. And like I said, that's kind of what you want to pick. Rev share or monthly retainer. If you genuinely think that you can, take that client to crazy numbers that month, I would do rev share because it's going to be better in the long run. You're going to get paid more. Monthly retainer is just honestly like a safe route because you're getting the same amount every single month, obviously. And then guarantee goes straight into the promise point. So guarantee, reduce risk for the client, make it easy for them to say yes. And they can have a whole bunch of guarantees. I've seen some good ones like, if we don't generate you X amount of results, you get X amount of money back, or just simple ones as we're guaranteeing X amount of sales or X amount of leads. Like I said, there's a lot of guarantees that you can kind of come up with and brainstorm. But yeah, these are the 4 pillars, and what I call them is the components of a blue ocean offer. It's clear, it's simple, and it gets straight to the point. Now, I'm sure you might be wondering, but Mr. Jaden, how should I charge? How do I get clients? And how can I actually get rich from brand scaling? Don't worry, brother. I got your back. I literally got your back. That's exactly what we're explaining in this whole video. So the next thing is, what should you charge to these actual prospects? Like I explained in the blue ocean offer, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. There's monthly retainers and there's revenue splits. They're both going to have pros and they're both going to have cons. So first, we'll get into the monthly retainers. The pros, it's predictable, it's recurring income, it's easier to manage the cash flow. Clients know exactly how much they're paying each month, less admin work, tracking sales and revenue. Now, like I said, with a monthly retainer, you're guaranteed a certain amount every single month. It's easy to manage. Clients know exactly how they're paying. Those are pretty much all the pros when it comes to it. Like I said, for me, for my offer, what I do is I do a one-time fee plus rev split. I don't do monthly retainers. That's something that I will probably implement when I do my AI service-based business. But as of now, for my freelance brand scaling agency, no, I have a one-time upfront fee plus a rev split. But most people in the space do retainers, so that's why I'm putting it on here. So the next thing is income. So the cons to this are obviously income is capped, hard to sell to a brand new business with limited expenses, and may feel expensive to clients before they see results. Now, income is capped is a very, very honestly it's probably the biggest con with this. Because like I said, with a rev share, let's say you generate a client $60,000 a month, you're getting $6K from that client instead of if you were to charge them $1K a month or $1.5K a month, then you're kind of stuck at that, you're kind of stuck at that cap when it comes to the cash flow for this specific client. I really do like rev shares because they're performance based. First of all, I think clients like that more. They like performance based offers or just price points because it depends how much work you're actually putting in on your side. So with a rev split, like I said, let's say you generate a client 60,000. If you're taking 10%, that's 6K from that one client. Now we'll get into the rev split and we'll get into the pros first. So the pros of this are unlimited earning potential if the client scales big, and this is exactly what I love about rev splits. I've done 100K months for a client. I've done 150K months for a client, and those are some killer fucking commissions you get. Like I said, most times it is 10% commission, so you can just do the math. Even if you do $20,000, that is more than your monthly retainer. And honestly, $20,000 is pretty easy to do with ads. One thing I will show you guys is look, for example, this is one of my newer brands. This brand just started working with us, and they're a brand new brand, as you can see. And this is how you know a marketing agency actually knows what they're doing. As you can see, I don't know why it's that, but as you can see here, this brand literally just started. We started the ads around July. In the first month of the brand literally being active, we did 20K in sales. So that is more than a 1.5K monthly retainer. So from this client alone, I'm taking around 2K a month from, and it's only going to keep growing and growing. I know next month we're probably going to do 30, 40K. So that's what I mean. Honestly, I think rev splits are better. It's performance based. You're getting paid more. There's no cap on your earnings. Like it says here, it's easier to close deals. We only make money when you make money. That's another guarantee or offer, whatever you want to call it. Creates a true partnership dynamic. More attractive to clients testing a new marketing channel. Now, some cons to this are income can be inconsistent month to month. Requires a lot of trust plus transparency in clients reporting. Harder to enforce if client don't track sales properly. Now, this is something that you can easily just combat. Just log into their Shopify or set up your pixel correctly when it comes to your ads manager. But the first one is true. These two are pretty true. So obviously, if you're not doing good work, this can be low. So your monthly revenue from this client can be low. And then another thing is too, it does take a lot of trust, especially if you're doing lead gen percentages, which not a lot of people do, but you can. Then you're just basically trusting that client to tell you how much money in deals that they closed. Now, when it comes to e-com or sales-based rev splits, it's pretty easy to track. Like I said, just go on their Shopify, go on their Meta Business ad account, and see how much you're generating them, and then just do the math, 10%, whatever it is. But yeah, that's typically how much you should charge and what your price point should be. I should have really added just a one-time fee or just a one-time upfront fee, whatever you want to call it. Because typically when you're doing a one-time upfront fee, you have the one-time upfront fee plus a rev split. So it's usually these two together and then either this one by itself. But yeah, those are some things that you can charge, and these are honestly pretty basic crafting. These are honestly pretty standard rates to charge, to be honest. But yeah, the next thing that we will get into
is actually signing your dream clients. This is where the fun begins. When you already laid the foundation, you've built the irresistible offer, now the big question is, how do you actually land your dream clients? Here's the truth, freelance brand scaling is not saturated at all. Like I said at the beginning of this, saturation is literally a fucking
coping mechanism. Get up off your ass, make something work, and build something. That's all it is. Nothing is saturated. There always is going to be space in some type of market to be successful in. In fact, when you know that you're doing it, it's surprisingly easy to sign clients. This is another thing too. This is a really snowball effect business model, because once you sign your first, 2, 3, 4, 5 clients, I'm telling you, they all just start flowing in. It's actually funny, when my brother went to get into the business model, he was having struggles signing clients. He literally signed his first 3, 4 clients, and now he's going crazy. So, every time he texts me, I swear he's talking about he signed a client, which is honestly pretty fucking insane, especially since he's only been doing this business model for maybe 6 months. And he's probably making I'd say close to 10K a month, if not more. But yeah, it's not saturated at all. You might be asking, Jade, why? How is it not saturated? And this is exactly why. It's because the competition is firing hundreds of copy and paste DMs every single day. I like to call those motherfuckers basement goblins. They're in their basement or in their room sending literally the same copy and paste DM to 200 plus people, and they're not doing enough testing when it comes to their outreach. Now, there's a variation. There's a plethora amount of different ways to outreach, which I'm going to go over in a second. But that is why they're stuck at their desk for 10 plus hours,
praying to the inbox gods that they get a reply, and they blend in with every single desperate freelance brand scaler, which is why it makes it easier for you to stand out, and which I was going back to, and which I was saying earlier in this video.
You have to stand out from your competition. But first, before we get into that, we'll talk about how you're actually going to find your prospects or find your leads. Now, there's a lot of different ways to go about this. The first and most used one is Instagram. Now, for Instagram, pretty self-explanatory. Cold DMs, finding potential prospects, finding people with bad ads. I think this is the best one out of all of these, to be honest. Actually, these two. I'll talk about all of them, but I think these two are the best, and I'll explain why in a second. So, Instagram, like I said, it's pretty easy to find potential prospects in clothing brands. The first and most important thing to do is building your Instagram page so it's optimized to your traffic. Now, like I said, Instagram is going to be a key one when it comes to signing your clients. That's how I signed my first couple clients. That's how majority of people in this space sign their first couple of clients. But Instagram, you're going to be using it for cold DMs, outreach, just finding prospects on the actual app, finding brands that could need improvement in certain areas, and that gets into pain points and offers, which I'll talk about in a second. Etsy, what you can do for Etsy, it's a little different. Basically, you go on Etsy and you find people with already established Etsy stores, smaller or big, it doesn't matter. But typically, if they're already printing off Etsy, they can be printing with Shopify if they don't have a Shopify store. So what you want to do is outreach to those Etsy stores, give them some type of irresistible offer, and pitch them on why they should create a Shopify store to actually scale their business even further with paid ads. This is a very good one too. I know a couple people that use this method and sign a shitload of clients using the Etsy method. Another good one too that a lot of people don't talk about is Reddit. You can go to Reddit forums, clothing brands, startup clothing brands, and actually get your foot off the water. Now this one's really good for like starter freelancers if you don't want to really get paid at first, because a lot of people too is right when they're starting they do some type of free, they basically work for a brand for free just to get experience, just to get some knowledge, and just to use those results that they're getting from that brand to actually leverage and sign bigger and high valuable clients and prospects. But Reddit is indeed a good one. Like I said, go to Reddit, look up clothing brand forums, just look up anything on clothing brand and outreach to those Reddit people. Maybe ask for their Instagram, and really see where their pain point lies and how you can fix them. The next thing is Meta. Now, the reason I say Meta is because what you're going to do is you're actually going to come over here to Facebook. You're going to come over here to Facebook ads library. Let's find it. Boom, right here. Now, with Facebook ads library, you're literally going to come here, and let's say that you wanted to start this with landscapers, right? Let's just say landscapers. Boom. And what's going to happen is a whole bunch of landscapers are going to pop up on your actual Meta Ads library. If you guys don't know what Facebook Meta Ads library is, it basically is every single ad that is being run on Meta, and you can actually see exactly what they're running or what they're doing. So with this, you can look up, like I said, landscapers or brands or whatever it is, and look at some of these ads and call out some of the pain points and how you can actually fix their ads or fix their website or fix their copywriting, and pitch that to these prospects so that you can actually sign these clients. And that goes back into the authority and the leverage. You always want to have authority and leverage on your clients. So if you can tell them how you're going to fix their problem or their current situation, they're going to love you 10 times more and just consider you more high valuable. So this is a very good one too, Meta. Now another good one too is TikTok. Basically works the same as Instagram outreach. So with TikTok, you're doing the same thing. You're finding clothing brands, making a burner account, and seeing actually how you can, push their product out to a better target audience, help them with their website, help them with whatever it is that you're going to help them with. There is pain points that you can really dive deep into certain prospects, and you can actually sign those clients by hitting their pain points and how you can solve those pain points. Now, when you collect these leads, like I said, you want to build a list with phone numbers, emails, etc. And this goes into the go high level part. So this is where you're going to keep everything organized. Like I said, you can do it with Notion as well. I don't have Notion pulled up here, but Notion is another good organization software to use when it comes to actually keeping organization of everything. So we have setting team database, client commission trackers, spot holder trackers, etc. But yeah, you want to make where's that at? You want to build a list of phone numbers, emails, IGs, etc. And I'll actually show you guys what I used when I first started. This is how you can track like what prospects you're outreaching to, their name, their business, their follow-ups, Loom, Instagram, Twitter, all this type of stuff to stay organized when it comes to building your agency and making sure you have a decent foundation. Like I said, organization is super, super key when it comes to building an agency. Step number 2 is once we actually build the list, we actually have to get them to hop in a call, and this is where you're actually going to close them. So here's the thing, there is no one magic script or a perfect DM template that works every single time. That's honestly rookie thinking. There is a plethora of different amount of methods that have worked for different brands, especially when I first started. So when I first started, outreaching was working at first, then I have to switch up my outreach with some type of value. So like I said, there's not a certain script that's like you send the script and boom, I'm gonna sign him. Like I said, it comes with a lot of just testing and optimizing different approaches, different pitches, different offers. But instead, I do have a proven list of outreach methods that actually work, because the real skill is knowing which method works best for your market and then executing with it right away. This is where most people fail. They blast the same generic message to everyone and pray for a response. We don't do that over here. We're using outreach frameworks that are tailored, strategic, and designed to make you stand out when it comes to actually pitching your service or your offer to your prospects. Now, these are the 4 best outreach frameworks that I personally think work the best and that just have a very higher success rate. So to jump right into this, and I think this is the best one, is free value. People love free shit, free value, free gifts, free breakdowns, free roadmaps, whatever it is. Explaining to them in a video on how you can help them with their business is a game changer. Lead with something genuinely useful to the prospect before asking for anything. This could be sort of an audit, a quick strategy breakdown, or a tip that they can use right away for their website. When you give it to them first, you immediately position yourself as someone who knows their stuff, not just another cold DM. Goes back into what I was talking about earlier, is authority. You need to have authority. So free value is a very, 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 very good one to use when it comes to actually closing prospects, making them more interested, and making yourself seem more high value. The next one is personalized videos. These are like Loom videos, but record a quick 60-second, same thing as like a VSL, talking head video showing that you've researched their brand and spotted specific opportunities for scaling. Personalization equals proof that you care and not some other spammer. So that's another thing too. People love personalized offers. This is like the same thing with e-com and clothing brands. Once you give a client or a prospect some personalization when it comes to their offer, or like how it says here, taking care of them, personalizing their exact pain points and showing them how exactly you can fix them, it's just going to make your trust with that prospect a whole lot better. Bait and switch. This is a good one. Basically, when you're baiting and switching, you're going to reach out to them regarding something that is low friction, acting like a customer, a giveaway, mutual network, intro, whatever it is. You want to just build the conversation and make it warm. And then that's when you pivot the discussion to your offer or your pitch or whatever it is. This one does work as well. I've had a lot of clients on my Discord sign clients based off the bait and switch method. I think the best version of this though is acting like a customer, saying, hey, have you sold out on this? Or hey, what size is this? Do you have this amount left? And don't, right after you say that, don't just fucking pitch your offer right away. Like how it says, warm up the conversation. So talk to them. You honestly want to talk to them for a couple responses So have them respond a few times, and as you respond, this is the key to it though. As you're responding to them, like nudge at their pain points a little bit, like just a little bit, not to a point where it's like you seem like you're trying to sell them something, but just nudge them a little bit so you can kind of warm up the conversation, so that when you pitch your offer, it's not just bam out the blue. But this one works well as well. And honestly, and now we get down to number 4, personal branding. And out of all of these, this is the best one. Once you can build a personal brand and some type of audience to have social proof behind your back, sometimes outreach, you don't need to even out. Sometimes the best outreach isn't even outreaching at all. It's making sure that people know who you are and that they already trust you. By posting consistently and showing results publicly, you create inbound interest. When you finally reach out, you're not just a stranger in their inbox, you're the person that they've been silently watching. So this is a very, very big one, personal branding. I'm really, really heavy on this. Just posting results, posting what you know, posting your knowledge, teaching somebody something, just building an overall audience so that you can have a little bit of social proof and credibility when you actually outreach to these prospects. You built authority and credibility. Prospects are warmer and easier to close. They feel like they know you even though they've never spoken to you. And like I said, that is the key one. It's a lot of trust, credibility, and authority when it comes to actually signing these clients. You gotta think like this, bro. You're a random stranger on the internet. You need to have those 3 pillars kind of down pat. Now, some of them take some time to build up, obviously, but once you build it up, it's a game changer from there. Boom. So the next thing we'll get into is phase 3, and this is actually the fun part. So you're closing on the sales call. Now that you booked your first couple of calls, the next step is actually closing them. And if you've never hopped on a sales call before, honestly, your first time, you're probably gonna shit your pants. We all did it. Trust me, we've all been there. But this is a fun part. This, gives you sales experience. It gets you to learn how to talk to clients. And this is honestly a very, very good phase to be at, because you've gotten a certain prospect interested. Now it's actually time to close the deal and make sure that they're locked in with you. So before we even start anything, we'll talk about some pre-sales call framework. We'll talk about rapport, we'll talk about pre-frame, we'll talk about discovery, and then transition. So the first one is start by building a personal connection, complimenting their products, referencing something that they shared publicly, etc. This is beef. Now rapport is basically, like I said, just hopping on the sales call and kind of just lightening up the room a little bit. Usually I don't hop on any sales calls anymore, but usually when I did, I would start off by saying, hey, how are you doing? Do you have at least 30 minutes for this call? Yeah, boom, boom, boom. Then we get right into it. Pre-frame is the purpose of this call is to simply make sure that it makes sense for us to work together. Sounds fair? I always say that too. So every time I'm on a call, or I used to be on, every time that I was on calls, I would always have pre-frame. So usually I would start by something similar to this, and then I would dive right deep into their pain points. So I'd be like, just to reiterate, what are you struggling with right now? What do you need help with? And what are your kind of next steps towards your business? Like I said, something to actually pre-frame them so that their pain points are kind of embedded in their head and they know why they're on this call. So that their pain points are inside their head and they know exactly why they're on this call. So this actually goes right into Undiscover 2. Uncover their challenges. What's been stopping you from scaling? Have you tried running ads before? Like I said, these are simple questions to ask your prospect on the sales call. You want to dive deep into the discovery, and like I said, make sure they know why they're on the call. Actually make sure that they know why they're on the call. Transition, got it. From there, what you've told me, I can definitely help you. Now, boom, after you have the pre-sales call framework down, you've talked to the client for about 5 to 10 minutes before you actually hop into the action item, which we're going to get into in a second. This is basically what you need to do. Now, the next thing is, like I said, hopping into your action item, creating a 30-day roadmap outlining the entire service and transformation your clients will receive from A to Z. In the presentation that you're going to show during the sales call. Like I said, this should be some type of presentation. Like I said, this is something that my closers use, and it basically just a framework explaining what we do and what results those services bring towards the brands that we work for. But yeah, the purpose of the roadmap is pretty simple. It gives your prospects confidence, clarity, and excitement from day one. Basically, yeah, with the roadmap, there's kind of 4 things you want to do when you're building this roadmap. You want to build trust, clarify the offer, position yourself as the best choice, and actually sell the information. So show past results, client wins, and relevant case studies. So if you're just starting and you don't have any results, typically with that is just you want to action pack it with as much information as possible. Give out their personalized pain points, goes back into the personalization factor, and basically build trust with them through the services that you're selling. Since you have no social proof, your services really have to speak volume here. Clarify the offer, explain exactly what you do in plain language, show how your process works step by step so they understand how. Position yourself as the best choice, highlight what makes you different from other competitors, tie your strengths directly to their pain points and desired outcomes. This is another big one too. People don't necessarily like buying a service. They want to buy something that is going to fix their current situation. So if you can position yourself as the desired outcome for their situation, then they are going to sell 95% of the time. Which brings me on into my next thing, selling your actual information. Paint a vivid picture on where they'll be 30, 90 days from now and beyond. Focus on the results they'll achieve, not just the work you do. So like I just said, people don't necessarily want to buy the service, yes and no, but they really want to buy how it's going to help them get to where they want to go or where they want to be in the next 30, 90, whatever it is. So you're really selling the outcome here. Which brings me on to my next thing. Once you got them to say yes and agreed on the deal, congrats, bro. You've literally signed your first client. And it actually is not that hard. I signed my first client within like 2.5 weeks of being in the business model. As long as you can stay consistent, put your head down, and actually be a separation from your competition, signing clients is literally going to be like snapping your fingers. It honestly is that hard. It honestly is not that hard, especially when you start building your personal brands as well. But after you actually sign that client, the next steps is actually making the contract, especially if you're going to do some type of rev split, because you obviously do not want to get scammed. You want to get your money at the end of the month. So make a contract. This is pretty easy to make. You can use ChatGPT like how we asked before. You can probably find templates online, but you want to get it in writing so both parties are aligned. The next thing you want to do is actually collect your payout, secure your retainer or project fee up front, whatever you guys agreed on. You want to collect your payment with a payment processor. Usually, like I said, you want to use Stripe. You can even use Square. Forgot about that one. Fanbias, whatever you're using to collect the payment, make sure you have the payment in your fucking hands. Onboarding call, kick things off, gather details, and set expectations for the first month. Onboarding calls are essential. You need to be on a call after, not just the closing call, but on the actual onboarding call with the client, just so they can have a little bit more trust and they actually want to be seeing your face. So the next thing we'll get into is actually onboarding your client. You signed your client, you got the money, you're fucking hyped, but now you actually have to provide your service. And this is a big, big, big one. If you do not have good service delivery, then you are going to be fucked in the long run. So, like I said, yes, you've done the hard part, you signed the client, but now it's actually time to do the work. And first, you have to actually be in the client's Shopify business account manager, all of that, and we'll explain how to get into that in a second. So, the first thing
is getting access to their Meta business account. This is actually pretty simple. I'll show you guys a little walkthrough right here.
But typically what you want to do is you want to have your client go to Meta Business Suite, log into their business portfolio, not their personal account. So make sure they're logged into their business portfolio. And then once they're on their business portfolio, all they have to do is click this settings icon, come over here to people, and I can't do it because I have partial access, but they want to click this blue invite button right here, and they're going to invite you via email. Make sure it is a Meta email that you have attached to some type of Meta business account. And then once they type in your email, there should be a prompt of like full access, assigning to an ad account, assigning to an Instagram, assigning to a Facebook page. If they don't have that, then that's your job to create. But then they just want to assign you to all of those assets and then invite you over, and then you should just see the invite in your actual inbox, and then you just join. Typically, you want to do this pretty quickly. Do this within the first 24 hours. It only takes 10 minutes to do, just so that you can show them that you care from day one. You keep clients longer and you make more money in the long run. This is another big one too, just keeping your clients as satisfied as possible. If you don't, you'll have a high churn rate. Churn is basically like clients leaving you, and that's not good for any agency. You want to keep your clients retained as much as possible. The next thing is Shopify Access. So this one's pretty easy as well. All you want to do is have your client log into their Shopify dashboard, have them click settings, go to users and permissions, and then click request collaborator code. A 4-digit code should pop up on their Shopify. And then after that, all you want to do is you want to make an account on Shopify Partners. This is basically like a sub-site for Shopify, and this is how a lot of agencies or people that work like hand in hand with different brands get access to the store as well. All you want to do is press request access to store, and then what you want to do is you want to take their actual website URL. When you are requesting access to their Shopify store, what you want to do is literally just press copy on their Shopify URL, come over here to Shopify Partners, paste in their URL, and then it's going to ask for a collaborator request code. This is going to be the 4-digit code that pops up once you do these steps. Then after you type in the code, then all you want to do is press select all and then request access to store. It is pretty self-explanatory and pretty easy.
But yeah, you want access to the Shopify store so that you can have access to their apps, their online store, their website, and you can make various amounts of changes.
Depending on if you have them included in that plan or if you just want to help them out, whatever it is, but you do need access to their Shopify store. Content, this one's pretty self-explanatory. Have the clients share all their photo shoots via Google Drive or Dropbox, etc. I use Google Drive most of the time. It's like a select few that use Dropbox, but like I said, either or, whatever way they can get their content to you, then just have them use that. But yeah, after you have onboarded that client, it actually is now time to print.
You built your foundation of your agency, you built your structure, you have your frameworks down, you have your outreaching down, you have your systems down, you have your organization down, you have your logo, you have your name. Now it's time to just up the volume on your outreach and actually deliver for your clients so you can get a good testimonial and sign more clients. Yeah, boys, that is going to be part 1 of this video, just basically the foundation on how to sign your first client and how to actually build out your brand scaling agency. In the next video, we'll be going into more technical and logistical stuff, especially on Ads Manager. I'll be showing you guys how I set up campaigns, run ads, and just general provide the service delivery for my actual clients. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one.